Let's see.
That was for you.
And welcome to Conservatives Talk.
And Republicans are actually getting things done. Loving it.
And Biden soils a presidential award. So you're definitely going to want to stick for this one. And welcome to Conservatives Talk. My name's Justin.
And this is Jamie.
And as always, we'd like to remind our viewers to make sure they're hitting the like button and the share button on any platform they run across any of our content on, as well as hitting that subscribe button. That way, you'll always stay up to date on all the content we produce, and you'll always be able to come back and see Jamie's incredibly warm, heartwarming smile and hear that roaringly infectious laughter.
When I'm not on Nomad Raid.
We'll get to that. We also like to encourage our viewers to go to our website at conservativestalk.org and hit that sponsor tab in the upper right-hand corner or the lower right-hand corner and help us out with what you're able to, because you will be directly contributing to Jamie and I taking over the world and finally getting Jamie a place to live other than his office or borrowing his mother's minivan.
We'll get to that in a minute.
And with that in mind, Jamie, how about giving us your first reminder?
Yeah, boycott hometown headlines. This liberal outlet has to be vacated from Northwest Georgia, and it's time that we, as the citizens of Northwest Georgia, serve it as eviction notice. So continue to boycott hometown headlines and make sure that we are your number one media source in Northwest Georgia.
You're getting ready to kick somebody out of their house in your normal life, aren't you?
I can't answer that right now, but they were supposed to they were supposed to be out by the end of December, and I need to demolish the building.
See, I knew that was somewhere there because he's vacated. We got to evict them. So like, there's something there to that one.
I'm ready to take over the keys.
We also want to say a quick thank you to our affiliates, and our first one being Net News Network. So you can find Net News Network at netnewsnetwork.net. Net News Network is a grassroots compilation of kind of broadcast journalists that are creating media content on the ground and giving it to you in the most direct way possible, straight from the sources. Our second one being Veterans for America First. And we also want to say a quick thank you to Vet Voice as well. So Vet Voice is Veterans for America First media arm. You'll only find America First policy content on Vet Voice, and it will only be promoted by Veterans for America First. And with that in mind, Jamie, how about let's jump right into our first topic, and that is Republicans are actually getting work done.
Yeah, it's really kind of exciting. And I don't even know where we want to begin here. I mean, let's start with the fact of like we're going to actually see a big push for our first, the first impeachment, right?
Yes, we are.
And I'm really excited about that one because I felt that this should have been done a long time ago. Representative Fallon is from Texas is moving to try to impeach the the Secretary of Homeland Security because of the border crisis, and that's something that should have been done a long time ago. McCarthy actually called for this when he was the majority leader or minority leader of our party, and so
well, he gave him an ultimatum: either resign or face impeachment.
And I think that's something that's necessary. Like we've seen 2 million so far, 2.2 million, I'm pretty sure, of immigrants come through. Biden and the left continue to cheerlead this, and now we've gone from unless it's up for re-election. Remember now, the border only became important to them for that one time when they were trying to help a Democrat out, but now all of a sudden that they got everything that they wanted to out of it. They now are just having caravans and people come through in waves.
Yeah. So part of the reasons why Representative Fallon filed these articles of impeachment against him were essentially for kind of dereliction of duty.
Yep.
As well as the fact that he was misleading Americans and he lied under oath. So when he's talking about he lied under oath, he was talking about how he had said that the border was secure and that it was being managed and maintained. And then we saw later in a hot mic incident where he said that it was unsustainable and was irrevocably destroyed and damaged.
And part of the other problem too is the level that they're going to. Like some of these migrant camps, they're clearing them out. Like I know what was it, last week or so, there was a migrant camp that was cleared out in anticipation of Biden coming down there, and they didn't want to show where all the news outlets are how horrible it actually is. And so they're masking the actual situation that's going on at the border. And when you have representatives, in border states, continuously saying we need help regardless of party because of how bad immigration is. And then when you're starting to see how bad it's gotten, in states like California or even New York, to where, we're sending them out there, yet no one wants to listen, and they still continue to disrupt, American life by allowing this to happen.
Yes. So it's funny. Biden just actually got back to DC after spending a couple of days down in Mexico and meeting with the president of France, or Prime Minister of France himself, and the president of Mexico. You would think border security would be a big issue. Absolutely not. It was all about equity, inclusion, and climate change, essentially. They even went as far as to the Mexican president down there saying, we're so happy that you stopped and did not allow a single another meter of the wall to be built and or expanded upon, or the inhumane wall to be expanded upon. Then you had him come back and later say that America has been neglecting Mexico and Central America and the Caribbean islands for far too long because we're not giving them enough money.
I'm telling you, like, we've had this conversation. We've had my fear, right? At some point, probably in our children's future, there's going to be the United States of North America if we continue to allow this to happen, which is the reason why they want to do away with borders, why NAFTA was put in place. The only thing that doesn't prevent this now is the transfer over of credentials and the freedom to move across borders like we do with inside the United States.
They're trying to turn us into the EU,
without a doubt. But which is interesting from an IR perspective, right? Because when I know, right, I'm getting in my feels because Europe is trying to do the reverse of the Constitution, and they're trying to create, they're trying to mimic what we did for already existing borders and countries. What NAFTA led in first was trying to now expand on the ability for our Constitution to extend into already existing countries. So instead of, the old way of war, right, political war, where you would go in and take a territory, they now want to be able to do it politically and vote on it. So the only way to do that is to allow for certain transfer of abilities and interchange of commerce, which was, NAFTA, and then the ability for your credentials to be transferable, which is what we don't have now. The moment that we see something like that, which will probably come in the next 10 years, the next step is going to be, they want to bring Mexico, Central America, everything all the way down to Pan Am. It's interesting, right? Like the big thing too is going to be like what happens with Puerto Rico statehood, because if that process goes through, now we've just given precedent and a roadmap for already existing bodies of government to want to petition to Congress to join the United States.
Well, they held a vote in Puerto Rico about that not too long ago, and they voted it down.
Yep. And
But
that's
yet we still give them money.
because the thing about it is it's in government we talk about incrementalism, you know. I want to be able to plant the seed of the idea, and how far can I get in that, and then where can I go from that, and how far can we go from there?
Well, that's a horrifying and terrible thought, but
Scary.
yeah.
I hope we're gone by then.
But so another thing that that the Republicans have done in the House since taking it over is they've established a select committee on looking into the FBI, the Department of Justice, any other alphabet agency out there, and targeting specific conservative outlets and media figures in their investigations and towards the censorship on social platforms.
I don't know how much I can personally speak on this, but anyway.
Okay.
But what I can say is I think this is good because as a bureaucrat, you're supposed to be partisanship shouldn't matter in your day-to-day. You know what I mean? You're supposed to do what's right. So the thought that, and the Twitter files of it, exposed a lot of this too. The thought that former FBI, high-level FBI agents left the FBI, went to Twitter, and then started hosting meetings with the agencies to try to investigate conservatives. That's insane.
Well, your bureaucracy and their bureaucracy are two totally different levels. Just simply because your bureaucracy was not wholly stated and founded by an executive authority. It wasn't.
I don't understand what you're saying.
Your bureaucracy where you work at or at the level that you're at was done through almost kind of a legislative process or a body process as opposed to established through a single executive branch member, like the president. The president wrote the executive orders and through executive action established the alphabet agencies of these bureaucracies that are being investigated or that are being looked at.
But the concept for all of us is still the same.
I understand that. Yes,
you know what I mean?
I got you on that.
But, you know what I mean?
The partisanship plays a lot more into it at that level than it does at the lower level.
I understand where you're going there. But the history of the FBI has always been kind of this: we do whatever we want. Kind of.
It's the CIA.
No, you remember the Hoover Files.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Fair enough.
Like he literally sent Martin Luther King letters that basically said I hope you die, and I've been spying on you, and I'm telling your wife, all these other things, right? So they've always sat kind of in this quasi questionable area, but I think it's time that we actually kind of try to rein in the bureaucracies.
Mm-hmm. No, I mean, that's what hopefully this select committee is going to be
in the right way.
Mm-hmm. Or at least just get the partisanship out of it. Just have them act within the scope and the lanes that they were established to act and serve the American people.
Yep.
So another one is that the outside of the rules package, the first major piece of legislation, as promised, that was to be passed was to defund the IRS.
Thank you, Jesus.
Defund the IRS to the tune of $72 billion.
Thank you, Lord. Because I think these two things go hand in hand, right? The IRS was known to investigate conservatives, and then the FBI was going to try to arrest them, and then the DOJ was going to prosecute them, right? Mm-hmm. So it was a domino effect. So if we can defund the IRS to where they no longer can do this, which it's theft anyway. Let's just get that out of the way. What they're doing is theft. I'm a full believer in there just needs to be a flat rate across the country, and then that's what we pay. But outside of that,
or just consumption-based tax.
No, I think flat rate's fair.
I would say consumption, but
flat 12% across the board.
I say that, but
15% gets us too out of whack.
I like
flat
the
12%
consumption take because if you're saving money, then you're not paying the federal government or the government at large. You being a government employee, not like that.
You're about to be mad as hell.
So
you sound like something that I heard on Bloomberg.
So he wants to make sure that he maintains his paycheck. So
no, that's not it. That's not it. The thing is there are services and without a flat, I mean, that's the beautiful part about it, right? Like we enjoy services. We enjoy services. You could not have someone take off your trash if you didn't pay that in some form of a tax. That's just the reality of it. It's tied into your water bill. It's still a tax.
No, I actually pay a private company to do it.
Private company that come out here.
Yeah, they do.
Oh, this is
county.
Well, all right. So not you directly.
You were saying? Enjoy those services and taxes?
Hey, but you enjoy those roads that you're driving on without the potholes in them. All that resurfacing, every bit of that comes from a tax. So
driven down much of these roads around here.
So my point is that when you look at it, we could probably squeeze by with a flat 12% tax. If we get to 15, that gets real questionable if we can actually sustain that without that being too much on the American people. But I think 13% is still kind of unlucky. But if we do it at 12, 12 and a half, we can still actually do it and provide good, decent level of services across the country.
So let me toss this one towards you and see what you think on that one. You just go back to a consumption-based tax. Then you have the option of getting rid of the Social Security system and paying out what you've already been paid into it, and then just getting rid of it. That is an encouragement there to save the money instead of just spending it and having it all taxed. Do you know where and back?
I think 12% does a good bit of all that.
You just want your paycheck.
No, seriously. We've been big on
what happened to taxes theft.
Taxes theft, but we all also like roads and like being able to commute and like, the social contract.
Private company to do it cheaper, better.
It's not. That would be outrageous. Outrageous if a private companies already build roads and the
do it a lot faster and a lot quicker.
No, they don't.
Government can just get out of the way and clear the red tape.
I semi agree with that.
you were saying, no, that's not. No way. Yeah,
I semi agree.
If I would just get out of the way and get rid of the red tape, it could happen a lot faster.
It's not me. I can't say that.
At some level, it is you.
At some level, it is me. But I was like, I can't say that. I know exactly who it is, but you know what I mean.
It's GDOT.
Nope. It's not them either. But just in case those people who still need the old signature pro or watch this, it's not you guys either. But there's something I was like, we can go look at the supply side thing from Hillsdale, and it's a good example. It's a good example. They're slightly a little bit conservative than I am as far as like when it comes to, I think 12% is more comfortable. But
nope, consumption. So another good thing that has just been announced here recently as well is that they have passed a Born Alive Act, essentially what it boils down to.
Yeah.
Any child that survives any sort of an abortion service and is born living, then it becomes incumbent upon that. It's a federal requirement then at that point in time that the healthcare provider provide life-saving treatment, life and care to where that child is not going to die.
It's a person.
Yes, exactly. It affirms them as a person, as a living person, although I know it's never going to get through and it's never going to be passed, the Life at Conception Act, but this is at least a step in the right direction.
I agree with that. And I think the big thing here is we have to make sure that the message is told how it's supposed to. 3 Democrats even voted for this.
Well, one voted for it, one abstained and voted present, which again, coward.
Don't ride the fence. Anyway, my
You're neither hot nor cold. I will spew you out of my mouth.
Don't ride the fence. The thing that I love about this is that we're again taking a step in the right direction, but this is one of those things to where we have to look at the messaging being right. This is not this is showing that a baby, a fetus is life. And at that moment, medical professionals need to do what is necessary to save a life. And this is not an attack on, situations where, if there's a medical condition, they have to remove the baby, they need to try to save the baby and the mother. You know what I mean? And try to do everything that they can to make sure that that child, if it's born alive, has the opportunity to live a full life. I think that's the major part that everyone's trying to drive home. This is not an attack on women or everything else that the media is trying to say it is, but this is a good step in the right direction to protect all life.
Yeah. It's great in the sense that, like you said, if an abortion service is being performed, because there are still some states out there that are performing these at a time period to where there is a level of viability there, and that child is born and it is still alive, they can't just leave it there on the table to die.
Without
they have to come back, and they have to do this. Although I will say, it is highly unlikely to be passed and made law. Same with the defund the IRS movement. That's or the defund the IRS bill that was passed. In all likelihood, it's not going to be made law. It's more of a symbolic vote than anything else
to see where people stand. And
well, not just that, it would have to clear the Senate with 60 votes.
Yeah,
and then it would have to be signed into law by the president.
Yeah,
Biden's already said, if the IRS bill comes up or gets to the Senate, comes to his desk, he'll veto it.
But again, this goes to incrementalism, right? But the key here is to win the presidency, make sure that the precedent's there, the legwork's there, we know who's voting where, and then once we win in 2024, then we can truly implement those things.
Yes.
I think it's also important to note, and this is why I mentioned the media factor into something as significant as the Born Alive bill, is Montana tried to pass something similar across the state, but it was dogged so much as an attack on women in healthcare in the state of Montana that it was voted down. And I think that's going to be a major role in how we continue to fight for the right to life, especially at a state level now more than ever that Roe v. Wade's gone.
That also brings us into one of the more recent announcements as well. The House Oversight Committee has announced, well, specifically Chairman Comer has announced that the House will be investigating the new Biden classified files that have been found in his unthink tank facilities. The second round of classified documents that have been found in his unthink tank facility.
So we're country boys.
That his unthink
tank. We're country boys, right? So do you remember the saying growing up? A hurt dog will hollow. Boy. No wonder he wanted to investigate Trump down at Mar-a-Lago about taking documents. He's been taking documents before he was president. They said that some of these documents that Biden had in his center have been there since he was vice president.
Yep.
Since he was vice president. That means that he's been holding classified documents for little over a decade.
In some cases, yes. And who knows what that classified information pertained to? Could have been to Ukraine. Could have been about China.
Now they said some of it could have been related to Ukraine, some of it could have been related to China, some of it could have been related to Russia. Like a lot of these things that are kind of playing out now that we discussed, as far as why was Hunter Biden in those situations, why was Hunter Biden on those boards, all is kind of leading back to the fact of they had inside information. If this was if this wasn't the public sector, they would already be in handcuffs for violation of insider trading.
Yeah. So the documents that were found in Mar-a-Lago were there where Secret Service had a presence. There is no Secret Service presence at this unthink tank where these documents were found.
Here's the other thing to me, right?
So what security level did they have in these being classified documents? Who had access to them?
And we don't know. And is he going to try to pull the fact of like, oh, well, Obama declassified them or I can declassify them?
You can't declassify as a vice
president. Correct. Right. Well, that's why I said Obama declassified him.
Yeah,
right.
Maybe he classified it in 2020 or 2021. Who knows?
And here's the really catchy thing for me is now I'm starting to even more believe that the documents that Trump had were planted because he knew it again. I'm going back to the Twitter files, right? They set up the whole Russian collusion thing, and Elon Musk has exposed like all the documentation for this being an inside job between Twitter and the FBI, and the fact that the media was given this information because of the things that went on with Hillary. So Hillary's campaign basically told Twitter and the FBI, who told the media that, hey, there's some stuff that's going to come out. It's fake. Don't believe Trump when he comes out about Hunter's laptop. It's nothing. So now I'm sitting here thinking like they would have planted that easily. They would have planted those files. They were getting ready to stage something. They knew this was getting ready to come out. They knew that people were going to say, hey, we're looking for these. Where are they? When they knew they were going to find them, they wanted to go ahead and kind of stage a coup to say that, it's not, they knew they couldn't nail Trump on something. So they wanted to come in and say, hey, this is not that big of a deal. So that when you come after me, you'll see that it was nothing because it wasn't nothing for him.
So along that conspiratorial mindset there.
That's the point of the show.
True. So think of it this way. What happened to Trump with the whole classified documents there, how the National Archives had been so hard in making sure they had every bit of documentation going on there.
So you're going with this?
And then that would have opened up this whole speculation, our whole mindset into potential open record requests and potential record requests and acknowledgments of, well, what else is missing out of these from former presidential members and presidential cabinets? And then this is when you start to see, oh crap, he has some out there now too. So, who's
Or let's take it a little bit further. What if the files that they were looking for Trump, Biden actually had the entire time? So they sent him on a goose chase first.
Well, he couldn't because he wasn't in there at that time. Biden wasn't in office at that time.
No, I'm saying it like they're all related to the same thing. Biden was vice president. Mm-hmm. That's what they said. A lot of those files were there.
Yeah.
When a lot of the files were taken was when he was vice president.
Yes, but all the classified documents that Trump allegedly had were from his administration, not
what I'm saying is take out the fact that he already had classified documents. Okay. What I'm saying is that what started this, they were looking for classified documents related to Ukraine, Russia, all this other kind of stuff. What if the documents they originally were looking for are the ones that Biden has had this entire time, but when they realized that Trump had just left and they were looking for them, they went and found completely different ones, which is why that one's not going anywhere. Mm-hmm. So they're still on the search for him, and they're like, boom, Biden had him.
It's possible.
But
strange world we live in.
I know it.
So this also, and there is something that I've been receiving a lot of feedback on throughout Northwest Georgia, is that now that they're starting to have these investigations, what is going to come of this? Are people actually going to be held accountable with these investigations?
Who knows?
The answer to that is not for a minimum of 2 years.
Yep. Who knows?
Yeah, there will be nothing that will be done with these for the next 2 years.
The only thing that you can really try to do is continue to fight for the information.
Well, not just that, but build the case.
Correct.
Think of it from as a legal perspective. They are doing the work of the detectives. They are uncovering all the information. They are building up the case. They are putting all the information together. Now they're getting ready to walk in and hand it to the attorneys and say, all right, here is your case. This is step 1, this is step 2, step 3, step 4. I'm giving you a roadmap on how to cut the head off the Biden snake.
Yep.
So that can't actually happen until after we actually have a attorney general that would be willing to move forward on that. And that won't be for a minimum another 2 years.
That's valid.
So yes,
even with that, all you
the
can do
application of something happening and moving forward and actually holding feet to fire on this is very plausible. It's just that it would take a minimum of 2 years before that can actually happen.
And all we'd have, I mean, even with that, all we can do is continue to fight for the information to find something that sticks. And, you know, what I mean by that is novice who go out and try to interpret the law, you know, that doesn't mean you're right. Everyone views it differently. To Justin's point, you have to have an attorney general or someone of that nature who sees the same view of interpretation or sees a way for that to be interpreted a certain way. Because even if you think you understand the way that it is, that doesn't mean that it's translated the same way or it's implied the same way. So that's why it's always good to infer to an attorney, or, you know, make sure you seek legal counsel when it comes to trying to interpret codes, ordinances, laws, anything of that nature, because you can really get yourself in a bind trying to take that interpretation on yourself, which also leads to
I know where you're going with that one.
You know what I mean? Which also leads to, you know, any form of investigation that may happen at the federal level, because that in itself is that amplified by, you know, 100 times when it comes to trying to gather all the information necessary to bring forth a case, and then have the United States AG bring that information to it, because it has to hit a certain threshold before they'll even look at it.
Or that has to be done under a specific political regime, as sad as it is to say, but
without a doubt, to make a point. But even at that, right? Like, we couldn't, even if we had a Republican, United States Attorney General right now, it would have to reach a certain threshold for it. It couldn't be something minor. You know, you couldn't say this happened definitively in one county in one state somewhere, and the United States AG pick it up. Like, you have to show a track pattern of this being a large criminal investigation across the country in order to move forward in a certain manner and prove it.
Yes and no. Yeah,
gotta be able to bring the case.
It would depend, in all honesty, because I mean, think of Watergate. That happened in a specific hotel room,
but they were caught.
Yeah,
exactly. like, you know what I mean? Like that's what I'm saying.
Specific hotel room, and the only way they were caught was because of the investigation that happened. So, I mean,
there's levels to it. I understand where you're going with that. There's levels to it, and
it doesn't have to be a national systemic problem in order to get
you really do have
involved.
You have to be caught red-handed, or it has to be something significant.
Yes.
Let's follow that up with something interesting investigation news.
Before we do that, we do like to remind our viewers to make sure they're hitting the like button and the share button on all their topics, as well as make sure they're hitting the subscribe button to all of our platforms. That way, they will never miss a single moment of Jamie's smiling face and always be able to hear that roaring, infectious laughter.
I hate when he does this.
Which is the reason why I'm going to continue to do it. We also encourage our viewers to go to conservativestalk.org and helping us out by sponsoring our show, so you can directly contribute to Jamie and I one of these days taking over the world and getting him a reliable mode of transportation to where he can actually get back and forth to his home, shower like a normal person, wash clothes, not have to sleep on the floor, not have to walk.
For those of you who don't know, I wrecked my car in December, like awful wreck. And it has been a task to try to get another vehicle. And between all of this, I had to nomad it for the last couple days, which is
Jamie's
something
been a gypsy.
I haven't been a gypsy since I was a child, and I used to do it for fun. And you know what? After the last couple days, I understand. I'm just glad that I grew into not doing that anymore. Couch surfing, finding ways of washing clothes and sleeping, walking miles. That's not. I did get to see the national championship though, and found a place that has vodka in a bag.
That just sounds like a terrible idea.
It was a terrible idea. Add a 2.5 mile hike afterwards. I was killing it. Look, I had never wanted a cop to pull me over so bad in my life, because I was like, hey, I'm going to the station, guys. Can you take me? Because there's stations in my office. So it's like, guys, like, I'm just waiting. I was like, I'm drunk. I'm walking.
I know they know you there. But what if you got the rookie that hadn't met you yet?
It's fine. It's fine. I got a badge, everything. I was just trying to make it there. And I was like, please. I was like, I am drunk. I am walking. Like, please, someone just pick me up. And not one. I didn't see him until I got in there. He's like, what are you doing? I was like, well, I guess I'm gonna go sleep, bro. Like, where were you 30 minutes ago when I was trying to walk here? I was waiting to see blue lights.
I was gonna chase you down.
Yeah. Golly, there wasn't one at the bar. I was gonna ask them before I started walking. Then I couldn't get an Uber because my phone was dead. Like, it was a whole ordeal. I'm just glad to be
You're
alive.
not helping your case any at all.
It's fine. I don't care. I ain't supposed to be here anyway. I thought I was going to, we had this conversation. I thought I was going to be dead a long time ago. I'm just happy to be 32. Or just living in life. Thank you, Jesus.
But with that in mind also, on to our next topic. And Biden has soiled the presidential award.
This is criminal. I don't care what you say. This is awful. This is about as bad as it gets. And I hope that this is what, I feel like this is the straw that should break the camel's back, that leads to him being impeached and leads to a further investigation into their actions.
So what he's referring to there is, so Biden had awarded 12 presidential citizen awards or citizens awards last week. And though, let's see here, two of those awards, two of the 12 went to Ruby Freeman and her daughter, Shay Moss. The
Georgia people know who they are.
Yeah. Fulton County election workers there.
That were seen on camera pulling things out from under the table.
Mm-hmm.
They were on camera pulling things out of the table, and Biden gave them the presidential award.
Social media posts by Ruby herself talking about they did what they had to do to make sure that Trump didn't get elected.
And this is who President Biden feels deserves a presidential award.
Mm-hmm. And the award goes for...
Let's go, Brandon.
Yeah, the award goes for exemplary deeds of service for his or her country or fellow citizens. Exemplary deeds.
Criminal.
Could not agree with you more. So this award has been in the past awarded to folks like, posthumous awards to the 9/11 firefighters, major philanthropists, major civil rights leaders, folks of, real merit and real note and real worth.
Literally, Rosa Parks got this before she died. But
Mother Teresa got it too.
You know what I mean? Like.
Although Bill Cosby also got one.
Too soon. I'm kind of with Buck on that one with the conspiracy, though. He was just trying to buy he was just trying to buy MSNBC. But the libs didn't want him, so they had him arrested.
Think of it this way. In 2016, Obama also awarded this award to people like Bill Gates, Tom Hanks, Robert De Niro, Ellen DeGeneres.
Yep.
Folks like that. But that can also be, that argument could be stated that they actually had some national global impact. They've done things. They've held charitable events. They've raised money for some good causes. That's undeniable.
But
But these two women did nothing at all and they still got this. It's the nation's second highest civilian award.
I think that going back to that time period anyway, though, because there was a lot of question about when they were starting to get those awards too, was that this has become more of a popularity contest amongst Democrats when they give out the award versus when Republicans give out the award. And you're starting to see that it's more along the lines of who they feel gave the most towards their individual causes, more so than it was what citizens showed, extraordinary feats for Americans. And that kind of falls in line with what these two people did, which is criminal, and kind of goes in line with what we pretty kind of know about what Biden did.
Well, I mean, they did do exemplary deed of service for Biden.
Yeah. Yeah, we can say it that way.
I think it's a fair assessment on that one.
Yep.
So that does also lead back into one of the points that we began closing the show out on, and that is that your local municipal elections are coming up, especially here for Georgia, as well as the convention cycle as well.
Yeah, I'll leave that as my final thought.
Yeah. So make sure that you are not only paying attention to your local elected officials, but also participating at the within the local level for the party that's coming up, because it is this year are the off years for presidential gubernatorial election years that you will have your reestablishment or reshuffling of the Republican Party at the local levels, the county, the state, and the national. Believe it or not, they actually will have a reshuffling of the national as well. So if you really think that there should be changes in leadership, make sure you are getting involved in your local Republican Party and getting out to these meetings.
Yeah, and so this is kind of where it starts. Everybody talks about what it means to be a Republican, not just a conservative voter. And this is where we pick delegates at the precinct level, at the county level, and then district and state level. So we've already released a couple of those dates. For February 11th in Floyd County, we will be at the Etowah Senior Center, where we usually are for the precinct, for the mass precinct vote. And then at the county party, it is also required that you do take the oath and join the party in order to participate in these things. And that is a national-wide requirement. You cannot be a member or affiliate. This is not a caucus. You cannot be a member or affiliate of any other political organization. You have to sign the oath, pay the dues to be a member of the party, and then you can come in as a delegate or alternate. And then we move on to the district meeting, and that is, for those in Georgia, your congressional district is the district that you're at. District meetings will be held April 22nd. And then in June, you will have the statewide convention that will be in Columbus this year. And that will be from June 9th through 10th. And so this is what it means to be a part of the party. Once you go through these conventions, this is how we also choose who goes to the national convention. And once you become a national delegate, then you actually have a vote that's cast for when we go to vote for the presidential nominee. So that's how we kind of go through the process, a very small clip version of it, of how you actually get to the point of where we elect a president and we'll elect a presidential nominee before we go to the mass vote. So keep that in mind. Again, Etowah Senior Center, February 11th was when we do the mass precinct one. March 11th is when we will have what we call our countywide. And that's why I'll be running again for the Floyd County chairmanship, as well as the rest of my board. So,
against my better judgment,
Justin doesn't want me to do chairman anymore.
It's not that I don't want you to. I just told you, what you're getting yourself into.
It's a lot of extra grief. I get thrown documents a lot because it's not really a lawsuit. Which goes back, check with your attorney before you start throwing papers around.
Especially to John Q. Public.
John Q. Public.
Well, with that in mind, we want to make sure our viewers are hitting the like button and the share button on all of our productions, as well as hitting that subscribe button as well. That way you'll always stay up to date with everything that we do release. as well as always be able to come back to see Jamie's infectious laughter and hear that roaring. Hear his infectious laughter and see that heartwarming smile.
And for God's sake, please get real legal documents approved by an attorney before you start stamping a notary on them.
We also encourage our viewers to make sure they go on our website at conservativetalk.org and help us out with what you're able to. Every little bit goes a long way to allowing Jamie and I to continue to produce these and get these and share these out, as well as you would be directly contributing, funding Jamie and I's eventual takeover of the world. We do want to say another quick thank you to our affiliates at first one being Net News Network, and you can find Net News Network at netnewsnetwork.net. We also want to say thank you to Veterans for America First and their media arm, Vet Voice. So you can find Vet Voice on every major social media platform. So make sure you are looking up for Vet Voice to find America First policy agenda candidates and content producers. So, Jamie, was that your final thought, or do you have more?
Yeah, that's pretty much it. Just make sure that you stay involved locally. Like this is the real time that you act like when you want to know what it means to be a Republican and the work that it means to be a Republican, not just a conservative voter. And I'm saying that intentionally because there is a difference. Like we love to encourage people to vote conservative, but when it means to be a part of the party, it means to pay your membership dues, to come into these convention cycles, to put in the extra legwork and knock doors and all these other things. This is where we start that process to really getting involved with the party. And I encourage everyone who listens to get involved with not just conservative candidates, but get involved with the party itself, especially on a local level.
Absolutely. I could not agree with you more. And with that, thank you. This is Conservatives Talk, and we will see you soon.